Hello YouTube! Today we'll be talking about the Snow Elves, or Ancient Falmer. Why, do you ask? Well, because I promised a video on Cyrodiil, but it takes a lot of time, okay? So that said, today I'm joined by my girlfriend in this video. She was so kind to narrate parts of this video for me, because I am, frankly, too lazy to do it myself. So without further ado, let's kick off with the video. The Snow Elves, or Ancient Falmer, are an ancient race of Mer that has almost completely disappeared. They used to be the dominant civilization in Skyrim back in the Moraddic era, but let's begin at the beginning, shall we?
Like all elves or Mer, the Snow Elves were the descendants of the ancient Altmer clans that had established themselves on Tamriel. They largely preserved their ancient culture and, just like the High Elves, stuck close to the origin values of the Altmer. This is, of course, unlike the other elf races.
It is said that during the Moraddic era, they were one of the most successful races of Mer. They were apparently very wealthy and had a large strip of land under their control. This was until the humans arrived. When the ancient Nords arrived from Admora, the Nords started colonizing Skyrim. It led to some minor disputes, but in the beginning they coexisted rather peacefully with the Snow Elves. But, as with every happy coexistent, it goes wrong. As the Nordic population grew faster than the Snow Elf population, and a struggle over territorial control and resources was at hand, this caused a lot of problems between the two factions. But another factor that caused problems between the two factions was the Eye of Magnus, an artifact with immense power, which the Snow Elves wanted to have for themselves, but the Nords were not willing to give it. They wanted that it would remain buried forever, for it was too powerful.
When the Snow Elves saw how alarmingly fast the Nordic population was growing, and when the Nords did not want to cooperate with the Eye of Magnus, they decided to massacre all of the humans in their colony of Sardo. Since they saw the human as a lesser race, the Snow Elves had no remorse about it and just saw it as the necessary thing to do. This event was known as the Night of the Tears and sparked Iskamor and his two sons, the only survivors, to sail back to Admora and plan their revenge on the Snow Elves.
Iskamor sailed back to Admora, and there he asked the ruling dragon priest for help. The priest decided to go along with Iskamor's revenge plans, and bestowed upon him 500 soldiers, who would come to be known as the 500 Companions, that would get revenge on the Snow Elves. The shipyards of Admora worked day and night to build a fleet to carry over the Companions from the Sea of Ghosts back to Skyrim.
When the 500 Companions landed on Skyrim, they immediately started taking revenge. Entire Snow Elf towns were sacked and had their population exterminated or enslaved. New armies came from Admora and they quickly took almost all of Skyrim, and before long a lot of the Snow Elves were either enslaved or dead. The very last Snow Elf army fell in Solstheim during the Battle of Muirsing. The commander of this army fought so fiercely that the Nords even buried him in one of their tombs as a sign of respect for his prowess in battle.
After the massacre of the Snow Elves, the first human empire under Iskamor was founded, and large cities of Windhelm were built using Snow Elf slaves. But were all the Snow Elves killed or enslaved? Oh no. A large portion of the surviving Snow Elves tried to bargain with the Dwemer, their sort of allies. The Dwemer granted these Snow Elves refuge in their cities. It seemed too good to be true to the surviving Snow Elves, and well, it was too good to be true, because the Dwemer forced them to eat a species of mushroom that grew in Blackbreach. This species of mushroom rendered them blind. and after the blinding, they were all forced into slavery to work for the Dwemer.
Over time, during this enslavement, they became less intelligent and began to devolve in creatures we now know as the Falmer. In a last attempt to regain their freedom, at the point there was some intelligence left in them, they revolted against the Dwemer in the so-called War of the Crag, a war that raged for decades underground, but was eventually won by the Dwemer.
When the Dwemer disappeared, the Snow Elves were finally freed. However, none of them had retained their culture or any aspect of them, and all of them had devolved into the twisted, bloody creatures we now know as the Falmer.
But this was not the last of the Falmer. Not all surviving Snow Elves went to the Dwemer for help. There were separate pockets of survivors that hid in ancient places of the Snow Elves, like the Chantry of Arielle. But as far as we know, all of them have been exterminated by the Nords eventually.
The last remaining enclave of Snow Elves that we know of was the Chantry of Arielle, the place we know in Skyrim as the Forgotten Vale. However, this place was overrun by the blind and twisted Falmer after they had been freed from their Dwemery masters, and every last Snow Elf was killed in the Chantry of Arielle. Except two. The two we see in Skyrim. In Skyrim you can still meet two Snow Elves, an ancient knight paladin called Galibor and his brother, the ancient vampire turned archcurate of Arielle, Verther. Sorry.
Does this mean the Snow Elf race is forever doomed? It does not have to be, since several books found in Skyrim tell us of how the Snow Elves also fled Skyrim. Perhaps some survive in enclaves like the Forgotten Vale in other places, perhaps in the mountains of High Rock and Cyrodiil, but if they still live, they certainly are well hidden.
This is not the only hope for the Falmer race, as Galibor notes in Skyrim, the Falmer are becoming more intelligent again. Right now, a hate for every other thing than themselves is ingrained within them, but they are, as we speak, becoming more organized and more intelligent. If they somehow, in a few more years or decades, develop something resembling a language, a line of communication could be established, and perhaps they can be shown that bloodlust is not the only meaningful thing in the world. This is actually a goal of Galibor. He wants to re-establish contact with his fallen brethren and try to show them the ways of Arielle once again. Well guys, this was it. I hope you liked the video, and tell us your opinion. Where do you think the small Snow Elf enclaves can still be found in the 4th era? I'm wondering. I personally think High Rock, or maybe Northern Cyrodiil Mountains, somewhere there. But put that in the comments, and if you liked the video, like, subscribe, etc. My Instagram and Discord are actually in the description. Leave your video suggestions in the comments as I read them all and they are always saved. And seriously, this channel mostly revolves around requests that I somehow got on my list over the almost 1.5 years that I'm doing this now. So yeah, I will see you in the next lore video. I hope the Cyrodiil video finally, but it's really taking a lot of work. So bye bye.